Are you a true leader? Hi everyone, welcome to Talk and Chalk. I'm Beck. This is my YouTube channel where I just share my tips and bits of advice on anything education related. If you're one of my regular followers, thank you so much for all of the support, all the likes, all the shares, all the comments, all the messages are greatly appreciated. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I've got lots of other videos. I'm coming up close to my 100th video. I've been doing this for just over a year now on this channel, and it is much bigger than I ever expected, and I'm very, very grateful for all of the support. If you don't know, my links to other social media accounts like Twitter and Facebook are all in the description below, and if you haven't subscribed, that button is down there as well. I don't sell anything, I don't spam anything, it's just me rambling on in videos essentially, me just talking to you guys. And today I'm going to be talking about leadership skills. So I guess I want to go to the bare bones of this. So if you're someone who's a teacher, who's thinking about taking on some leadership development, if you're thinking of, working your way up the ranks to different levels, and we all have different levels in different systems. In my particular system, it goes teacher, assistant principal, deputy principal, and then principal. And there's other various leadership positions as well, but in terms of those permanent positions that are ongoing, that's what I'm looking at the moment. And you might be someone already who knows, yep, I want to be a principal one day. That's me. I know I want to be a principal one day. I've had the absolute fortune of relieving as principal for the last few weeks, and I did it earlier in the year. Second time round, still love it. Lots of admin work, there's lots to it, but it's a great opportunity to see just all of those layers that go into, what makes a school a great school and the things that need to be done. So what I want to do though, like I said, is go to the bare bones of it. So I guess just to give you a bit of background on this, I've done leadership development myself. I've done courses. I've done them through my department. I've done them through the union that I belong to. I've done them externally, and I've done, I guess, my own professional learning online. I love watching TED Talks. I do journal readings, and I think that's something that people should constantly be engaging in. I read news, media, articles and things like that as well. And I belong to a lot of teacher groups on social media as well. So I get lots of different aspects of where people are coming from. I'm also a parent, so I get to wear the parent hat when it comes to education. I'm also a special needs parent, so that's another layer to what I bring. And when I share these things that I've got for you today, I guess I try and encapsulate all of those different layers that I have, because, we're human, we're not just one thing, we're not driven one particular way. We have all those other things that affect who we are and what we do. So when I share these things with you, I'm not a guru. It's not the be all and end all. These things are based on my experiences or the things that I've learned from the people around me. And I have wonderful mentors. I have great connections with people in this particular industry, and I think they've got lots of wonderful things to share. So what I've done is I've got notes here on the laptop that's you can't see. So I'm going to be looking at those just to go through some of the things that I have. And when people contact me about this stuff, this is the kind of stuff that I share with them. There's no way I could do all of this in one video though, and there's no way I could go into complete depth on each point in this. So if there's something in particular in the video today that you really want to engage in conversation further about, or talk about the particulars in your context and how you can do that in your context, please just send me a message. Like I said, my YouTube, this is YouTube. My Facebook page is in the link, and so is my Twitter, and that's usually where people contact me. Just send me a private message. I always answer. If you're in my system, you could probably find me on the emails as well, which some people have, and that's fine as well. Just send me a message. If I haven't replied to you, please just contact me again and say, hi, I haven't heard back from you. I've been getting lots of messages, and I try and answer all of them within a certain amount of time. Okay, so the first thing I want to establish is you can be a leader without actually being in a leadership position. Just because you don't have the title doesn't mean you're not a leader, and it doesn't mean people don't see you as a leader. Being in that principal position for the last few weeks has given me the chance to really see the leadership potential of the staff that I work with in various ways. And it doesn't mean necessarily that it was something that I gave them. It wasn't something that, I went and tapped someone on the shoulder and said, hey, can you do this? A lot of people just step up to the plate. They do it. And that doesn't necessarily mean they have natural leadership skills. A lot of these things could be learnt. I don't necessarily believe that natural leaders are the best leaders. I think my skills were developed, and they were developed because, people noticed things in me and went, hey, I think you could do this. Or I stepped up to the plate and went, hey, I think I can do this. Can I take this on? I want to make you aware that I'm keen on learning more about this. So you need to establish that difference between leadership being a title as opposed to leadership being an action, a behavior, a habit that you have, that you drive every single day in your practice. It's not just a one-off. It's not that you did one thing and now you're a leader. Ding, 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 here's your award. That's not how it works. It's that everyday habit, that practice that you establish and maintain with the people that you work with. And you need to make sure that you're happy to own those things, that you own your successes, that you own your behaviors, and you own the fact that you're learning and growing. That's a big thing too. So there's a difference between leader and boss. And if you've ever Googled anything, if you Google leader versus boss, you'll get all of these wonderful memes that are out there. Things that show like the boss is pointing and telling people what to do, as opposed to the leader guiding and supporting people as they go. And the reason that there is a very, very important difference between this, it's because how people respond to it. People will do their job. They will do it. If they don't do their job, they have to go elsewhere. There's processes for that. If you are working for a boss though, you do things because you've been told to do it, you know you need to do it, and you're getting paid. That's it. You'll do the job, done, go home. If you're being led to do it, quality leadership leading you to do it, not only do you do the job, but you want to do the job, you want to do it well, and you want to do more, and you want to share it with others. And in that capacity, the leader doesn't just succeed, the person involved succeeds, the people all around them succeed, and they gain so much more out of it. So really, if you want something to be quality, if you want it to be successful, there's no point bossing people around. Leading is the way to make things great. So as a teacher, how do you do this? Because, I guess you kind of do need some establishment to be able to get that done. So one way to do that is just moving out of your classroom bubble. A lot of teachers that I've known that do have those wonderful leadership skills are still in their bubble leading in their classroom, and they have great teaching skills, they have great students, they're like programs are high quality, all that sort of a thing, but it's still in that space. It's only impacting those 30 kids in that classroom. So a good way to do that is expand out. Classroom next door, whether it's your grade or not, team teach, share, model, observe, demonstrate, do things across that. Expand even further to your team, share with your team. And if you make this known to your supervisor that you're keen on developing those skills, they should be supporting you to do that. A good leader will do that with you. And then even bigger, obviously, is moving out of that team focus, out of that classroom focus, whole school. Whole school is really where you get to build and develop your skills in that area. And I'm talking organization, communication, your interpersonal skills. All of those things can be done when you look at a whole school focus. And a great way to do that is by following your school plan, your school goals, your strategic directions. Look at, how they've mapped out the milestones, the things that you want to achieve, and keeping it in line with what the focus of the school is and the values of the school, because then you're enhancing everything that's already being worked towards, and you'll get the support of the leadership at your school as well if you can do things at a whole school. If you come in and say, hey, I want to do tennis with everyone because I think tennis is really cool and our kids would benefit from it, well, that's great, but the parents have really expressed a need for swimming lessons because they can't afford swimming lessons, they can't get to the pools, they don't know how to swim themselves. That's what the community has said they've needed. So really, you need to respond to the needs of the community, needs of your students, and what the leadership have identified as a direction to go with. So you can't just randomly pull something out of the air. Being a leader also means being forward thinking. So looking towards the future, not just thinking of the next 6 months, not just thinking of that year. Our school plans now go for 3 years, and we start making those plans too, even before that time comes. So like at the moment, conversations around what our current 3-year plan is and the possibilities of what could be in the next 3-year plan as well. Really forward thinking. Being able to guide and support others. So let's say you want to do that swim scheme. It can't just be about, I've organized this, here's all the information for you guys, off you go and do it. You need to touch base with those people. You need to make sure the communication is clear. You need to make sure that, excuse me, got a bit of a runny nose thing going here with winter. You need to be able to ensure that you're touching base with everyone involved with that. So making sure the teacher, the beginning teacher who's never been to swim scheme before or never been on an excursion before, this could be their first year out, know exactly what to do, know exactly what to prepare. That means all that background stuff. Like, it could mean delegating stuff, could mean doing the job yourself. When you're first starting this out, being able to tell someone, do this, do this, do this, do this, is good. It's a good skill to learn, to be able to delegate. But if you're trying to build up that respect value for people to have for you, then you also need to be able to say, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. I have experience doing these things. I'm not just telling you how to do it because I think that's how it should be done. I'm saying that this is how we should do it because I've had the experience and this is the way it works best, or because I tried this, this, and this and it failed. And people will respond to experience more than ideas. An idea is one thing, but gaining that experience to back up your knowledge is so much more important. And this can be time consuming. You can't come out of 3 years of teaching and go, I'm a really cool person, everyone likes me, I think I should be a leader. Everyone's going to go, okay, well, I've got this kid, with ODD and I don't know what to do with him. And you're like, I've never taught a kid with ODD before. I don't know, let's go ask someone else. It's good that you're going to go ask someone else, but really, that respect value, where's the experience? So you have to be willing to go, you know what, it takes time to do these things. I need to learn. And I could have been teaching I've been teaching for 16 years now. I don't think I've ever had a child with, I'm trying to think of a condition. I was just about to say open heart, but I've had that. I'm trying to think. MS? Do you have MS when you're younger? No, that's older. Whatever it might be, if someone came to me and said, how do you teach that child? I'll be able to go, in 16 years, I've never been able to do that. However, I do know that kids with blah, blah, blah have similar symptoms. Let's go talk to the school counsellor about that. And I know I've just thrown an example out there that's quite bad. That one wasn't thought out very well. Let's move on to the next point. Okay, so being well prepared. This seems to be a normal skill that you need to have, just being a teacher. But when it comes to being a leader, it means being well prepared for other people as well. So being well prepared for yourself is one thing. That's what makes you a great teacher. Being well prepared for others is what makes you a great leader. And when I'm thinking of that, I'm thinking in terms of if you're doing collaborative planning, if you're doing a team activity for that week, if you are doing that whole school event, it means having everything in place for those other people so that when they turn up on that day, it's ready to go. They're not suddenly going, what do you mean you forgot something? Oh, now I have to go and do it. Or they're not going to come on board with whatever your initiative or project or event is if you're not well prepared. And then when it comes to the next activity that you want to do, if you're trying to get people on board for it, they're going to go, no, because they're not well prepared. They never have everything organized. I end up doing it at the last minute. So that comes under, being forward thinking, but actually having those things in place. And yes, sometimes that means taking the time to do things. Moving into time. This is going to be the biggest factor in terms of being a leader. The word time just comes up in everything in terms of how effective something is going to be, how much respect you earn from people, and really how much experience that you can gain. So one thing that I was told when I first became an assistant principal is that your time is no longer your own. And it's so true. When you get there first thing in the morning, and I'm talking about, I guess, when you actually have the title of a leader, my time is not mine. People come to me for various things, timetabling, playground, someone's away, kid in trouble, parent come to see you, someone's trying to pay for an excursion, someone's not there to answer the phone, someone needs help getting things out of a storeroom or whatever. That automatically your time is theirs. And it should be, because as a leader, you want to be able to prioritize those needs of your team and the people that you work with over what you have, because you should be well prepared for it. So that meant for me things like having my classroom set up the afternoon before so that I wouldn't have to worry about photocopying or getting resources out in the morning. My morning was free and devoted to the people that needed it. I could sit there and do work on the laptop as needed. I could sit there and answer emails and stuff. I could walk around and say good morning to people. I could go outside and see parents and see students. And at least that way, if someone came up and said, I need a hand with something, I'm free to do it because my classroom is well prepared. I thought ahead. And devoting time to other people as well doesn't mean just being available. It means prioritizing that time to enhancing others as well. So this could mean things like, team teaching and mentoring and observing, planning together, collaborating together. This could mean using your RFF for the benefit of others. And there is so much respect to be gained for doing things like that. people will highly value you when you say, or when you show them that your time is spent on them. And there needs to be a balance as well, and this is hard to do. You shouldn't be devoting all of your time to those people. There needs to be a time where you say, I've got to get this done, I'll be able to do this with you at blah blah time. But you know, once you've established that as a habit and as a practice, people will understand that you highly value what they have to offer, and that you highly value spending time with them as well. So time is a key one. Okay, I guess this kind of keep going on with time as well. These are in no particular order, by the way. These are just the random thoughts that I wanted to have down for this video, which is probably going to be a long one. That's okay, we'll keep going. So in terms of time, you know, you've only got a certain amount of hours in every day, and we all have the exact same amount of hours in every day. So doing things like volunteering for tasks is good. It means that, you know, you support the school. Ask not what your school can do for you, but what you can do for your school. However, you don't want to be a serial volunteerer. If I get a CV from anyone that says they did, you know, swim school and gymnastics and sport, PWSA sport, they did all the PWSA sports, you know, every single term, and they did the dance group and they did this and this, you know, it can read good depending on the skills that you've got, but it can also read very superficially. It means that you did a little bit of everything. How much impact did that actually make? I would rather have a CV that said, you know, that program was run for the whole year for all students and incorporated parents and community, and they did visits. It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality and the impact that it had for the school. So being able to tick all those things off, I start to think, what's this person's work-life balance like? How deep was the knowledge that the students gained from that particular program? And, you know, how much did the teachers benefit from it? Was this person running around with their head cut off like a chook? You know, or, you know, did they actually have time to prepare everything? You know, did this person just do the bare minimum for everything and they never worked very well? So, you know, obviously that comes down to the detail in the CV and meeting them at interview. That doesn't mean I'm going to judge someone straight away. But, you know, it's one of those things that kind of ding, 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 says to me that maybe someone isn't managing their time the best, or someone's doing things for the sake of doing things as well, which is not necessarily a good thing. You know, if you're doing something just for the sake of having a CV point, then personally, I don't think that's the best practice. That's just me. Knowing your staff and your students and how they best operate. So our teaching standards say, you know your students and how they learn. I believe you need to know your students and how they, know your teachers and how they work. I think it's important to know that some people are very well organized. Some people, not so much so. That does not mean the not so much so organized person is a bad teacher. And sometimes it just means refining practices. It also means that the way that you engage with them might change. It might mean that some people, you need to use different language with them. Some people might respond to tough love. Some people need, you know, softly spoken. And you need to be willing to modify yourself for teachers as well. We do it for our kids. We already know how to do it for our kids. We can do it for our teachers as well. And being able to respond to something is the mark of a good leader. And when I say respond, I mean appropriately respond. So those situations where something has happened, whether it's positive, whether it's negative, whether it's neutral, it doesn't matter. How you respond is a true reflection of your leadership skills and the development that you have. So at first, when you try to put yourself into those leadership positions, some people will backlash. Some people will try and pull you down. Some people don't like to see other people succeed. Some people wanted that position for themselves and they're jealous. Other people will push you, guide you, hail you, and some people just don't give a crap. They're going on and doing their own thing. So how you respond to those things really will define your skill development and how you move along in that process and how you interact with people. So, you know, if someone has, I don't know, mocked you, judged you, said something openly degrading about you, what's going to be your response? You know, things like getting into a verbal argument with them and getting negative and name calling, that's not the kind of leader people need to see. And it's hard because it means separating emotion from the situation. And that's key, I think, is just being able to separate emotion, which is hard to do in our job, but it's a necessary part of our job. Sometimes it also means recognizing that the other person is going through something. That person who may have, thrown comments at you or been passive aggressive with you, do you actually know what's going on with them? Know your teachers. They could be going through a divorce. They could have just got diagnosed with cancer. They might have just found out, their sister had a miscarriage or something. You never really know what's going on with a person until you talk with them, until you communicate with them. So how you respond is key. So your basic skills: being flexible, being resilient, being adaptable, knowing your time management, being visible, being ethical, approachable, and maintaining confidentiality, and being trustworthy. I mean, those sound like buzzwords, but those are the key words, and they need to be done consistently and concisely. So I'm going to give you an example. Let's say a staff member has told you that their mum's been diagnosed with cancer, and they've just said, "Mum's been diagnosed. I really don't want other people to know at the moment. I'm keeping it to myself, but I'm finding it very, very hard, and it means, I'm a little bit scared to talk to the boss about taking time off." Using those skills, obviously you want to be there for your colleague. You want to make them aware that you're there for them. And that can mean something as simple as sending a text message at night just saying, thanks for talking to me today. I appreciate you being honest. Let me know if I can help in any way. Little thing like that goes so far. And it's so important because as humans, we crave those connections. We want those connections with each other. Sometimes it's nice to know that someone is thinking of you, and just to have that support. But in terms of if you're going to move up that ladder, you need to know the policies and the procedures that go with that, the staff's entitlement to leave, what kind of a support system they may have in place, accessing counselling, those sorts of things, the logistic things that happen afterwards. Giving them a hug and saying, "I'm here for you," is one thing. That's being a good colleague. It's being a good friend. Being able to know the intricacies of our systems is what comes into being a leader. So, and there are times when a principal has to say no to leave, and we need to be aware of that. We can't go, "Oh, what a bitch, didn't approve your leave when your mum's going through cancer." There's times when principals can't do it. And that, I can tell you now, they're just as frustrated sometimes in what does or doesn't have to happen. And you need to respect that. And if you're going to be a true leader going up that level, you need to respect the policies and procedures we have in place, that they're there for a reason. You might not like the reason, you might not like the way that it's done, but that's the way that it is. And if the decision is done and you can't change anything about it, there's no point harping on it. Move away to another thing, another way that support can be accessed, whether it is counseling, whether it is your union or anything like that. That's the direction you want to take. The positive one that has the solutions, not the spot where nothing can happen and that decision's done. And that just shows, I guess, your ability to be resilient in those situations as well, even if it's not happening to you. Sometimes you've got to be resilient for your team. I've been through that as well, where my team have gone through home life situations that are just crap, terrible and crap. But you know what? We're still employed. We still have to go to work. If this was any other industry, if you're working at, Kmart on a casual day, you wouldn't be able to take the day off. You'd still have to work and go and feed the family. It's one thing to have all of our entitlements and rights, which is wonderful. It's another thing to abuse it too. So there's a line there, and sometimes it's a really fine line. It's hard to see when someone's crossed it. Okay, moving on. So part of that, like I just talked about, listening to them. So being a good listener, talking about the depth and the quality of your dialogue, being able to read between the lines. So like I said, someone having, a go at you, is it really about that or is it about something else? Is there something else going on? And when you're listening, I love the way, I think it's Simon Sinek talks about this. He says, a lot of people when they're listening, they're not actually listening, they're just waiting for the pause so they can respond with whatever idea they've already generated in their mind. So being a good listener means just taking it all in and not worrying about what your response is going to be while they are talking. You can take that time to answer. You can, take that time to ask them to elaborate and clarify. And some people just need to talk. They don't want a response. Some people just need to get something off their chest. Something like mum has cancer. You can't have an answer to that. There's no point me talking about my mum going through something else. It doesn't change the fact that her mum has cancer too. Some people need to hear that, someone else is going through it. Some people just need to get it out. Some people just need to get it off their chest. So, and that comes down to knowing your staff as well. Are they looking for a solution, or are they just looking to vent? Because you know what? Sometimes venting is good. Leading by example. Don't just talk the talk, walk the walk. If you want everyone to have their classes sitting down outside their classroom at a certain time, yours should be doing the same. If you want programs handed in by a certain time, yours needs to be ready as well. If you want people to be at playground duty on time, you need to be at playground duty on time. You need to model it. Be the role model. Otherwise, you're not actually leading. You're just telling. In terms of your communication and your decision making, again, being concise and consistent. You know, I know not all decisions can always be the same, but for example, in terms of behavior management, you know, if you've got a kid that graffitied on the wall and you hand out this consequence, then the next kid that comes from the classroom next door should probably have the same consequence. I'm not saying that as a rule. I know there might be different things in place, but if other staff are noticing that you're inconsistent with different things, well, then what else are you inconsistent with? You know, what kind of a leader are you going to be if you're just going to be chopping and changing ideas and processes all the time? Yeah, I don't know why I wrote this way. Using your skills and knowledge for the greater good, helping raise others up. So the idea isn't obviously trying to showboat yourself. You're not trying to do it to showboat yourself. You're trying to do it so that you can help others reach their goals. You know, obviously you're working towards your own goals as well, but ultimately if you're working with them, it's not so you can take the credit for it. You want to recognize the great qualities that's in others around you because they're always there. And, you know, you want to harness that to the benefit of your team or your stage or your school, your whole school or your students, you know, doing it collaboratively. It's good to be influential, but there's no point trying to change people. And when we say influence, it means, you know, sharing with them the great things that you do, because then they might reflect on it and go, hey, you know what? I'm going to give that a go. It's not about me going, nah, you can't do that anymore. You have to do it this way. That's going back to being that boss, not being a leader, not being guiding. And then ultimately they're only doing it because I've told them to, and they're probably not going to do it the exact way I want anyway, unless I'm actually watching. If you want someone to get to a particular point, you need to model it in your classroom. You need to give them a reason to do it. And ultimately, there needs to be a reason why their way isn't the right way, I guess. Like if someone says to me, oh no, I don't think you're doing it that way, the right way, you need to do it another way. I'm going to want to know why. You've got to give me reasons. I'm going to go, but hang on, my kids love it. They're learning it. Why can't I do it that way? There needs to be a reason, not just because I told you so. This isn't mum telling you. Even though I say that to my kids, because I said so. Okay. Being proactive, following through on decisions, but also being open to acknowledging that that decision maybe wasn't the best way to go about it. There's been times where I've had to go, yeah, that didn't work out very well. Next time, we're not going to do it that way. You know, we're human. We make mistakes. That's not a problem. Ultimately, though, those mistakes might be less and less as the years go on. Building your skills and your knowledge as well, especially around policies and procedures. That knowledge is power. Knowing all of the departmental policies and procedures, knowing our union policies and procedures, knowing the school's policies and procedures. If you have that information in your head, then it means that you have a better connection to your school's practices than having to go, I think I have to go look that one up. Okay. Oh, really? That's the way that it's done. You know, that's not the best way to go about it. And we know policies and procedures change. So if you're in the public system, you need to be following school biz. I can't stress this enough. Check school biz every week. It's a dumb day to come out on a Friday because we're all tired and we don't want to read it. So maybe slot yourself time in during RFF or something that you can read it. Read school biz. There's also lots of updates that come out on the website itself. Follow that. And, you know, barring all of those things, follow the social media. All of the systems, whether you're Catholic, whether you're public, they're on Twitter, they're on Facebook. Go and look at them. Go and look at the websites. Check them out. There's lots there to read. And yes, it's time consuming. And yes, it's tedious. And no, it's not the best bedside reading. That's why I read other books. However, they're a necessary part of what's going on. So recently, I thought I knew rules around comprehensive insurance and cars and all that sort of a thing. And the policy had been updated 2 years ago. And because I hadn't been part of that process in that, you know, sort of time, I didn't know that it had been updated. And it was one of those things where I had to go and look it up and check. I had to be willing to take the time to go and look it up and check. And now I have that knowledge. Now it's something that I can say for sure I know is the accurate information because I checked the policy. So that's the kind of thing that you can start integrating into your habits, is being aware of what's in, you know, that information. That's something you need to do. Just looking at my notes because I think I'm almost at the end there. You know, in terms of building policies and procedures too, keeping up to date with curriculum and pedagogy. We've got lots of new syllabus documents coming out, pedagogy changes, future focused learning. You know, keep attending the PL, and you don't have to go to PL to be upskilled in this. Look it up, Google it, YouTube it. You're on YouTube now. Go and type in future focused learning or flexible learning or integrating technology or anything like that. Keep up to date with it so that you're aware of what's going on. On Twitter, that is my professional account, and I follow all education related things. So I follow schools, I follow principals, I follow directors because they share what's going on in schools. They share great things. So someone might have, I don't know, a new friendship seat. We all know what friendship benches, friendship seats look like, but maybe this particular one looks different. It might have a key phrase on it that works for your kids that you haven't seen before. Steal each other's ideas. No, not stealing, sharing. Sharing is caring. Okay. I think I've come down to the end there. So I'm just double checking my notes, and I think I've covered everything there. There's no way I've actually covered everything. It's just the stuff that I wanted to write down, and I can see I've rambled on for over half an hour on this one. So I hope you've stayed with me till the end. I think I'll leave it there though. I guess I just want to reiterate that, you know, when you start these things, it's about building the habit, building the practice, and keep on doing so. Even if you feel like it's not working, keep going, because like I said, leadership skills can be developed, but it's about being visible, about being that leader. You don't need the badge that says leader to make you a leader. And believe me, if you haven't got that badge and you want to get that badge, that title, just keep doing those things that you love and sharing them with others and building other people up, because I guarantee you, those of us that have sat in the big chair, we see it. We absolutely see it. And as much as we try and recognize it where we can't do that in every minute of every day. So don't think it's not being noticed or appreciated, because those things will come back to reward you in the end. Okay, I will leave it there now. I'm going to put my button down the bottom here near my Jack Sparrow. So if you haven't clicked to subscribe, you just hover over that and click to subscribe. I'm going to put another video at the top there, and I'm thinking of ideas for my number 100 video. Thanks guys. Bye.